That position that she's sitting in, that is so hard to sing in.
Sound check.
G'day, welcome back to another vocal analysis here at Voice Essentials. My name is Dr. Dan, and today we will be reviewing Christina Aguilera. And look, she's a powerhouse, isn't she? I mean, for such a, from a stature point of view, quite a petite woman, such a big voice comes out, but it comes out at a cost. And Christina has had a reported history of vocal health challenges. I think the performance that we're going to be looking at today, which is a live presentation of Hurt, it gives us an insight into perhaps where the voice has fallen into disrepair, not because of this particular performance, but some of the technical issues that confront the voice in the sustaining of she's known for big belt notes. In fact, she's really known for moving from very light tone, very upper register, cricothyroid-dominant sound to big belt notes at the top of her range. This song is no exception to that. But the voice is under extreme load while it's doing it. And in this particular performance, the voice carries the day. But of course, her vocal health history tells us that it hasn't always been able to carry the day. And there's something in that for us. Even the great singers, and Christina is amongst that category. She is worldwide famous, and for good reason. It's a great sound, but that does not save her from being human and having a biological instrument that can run foul of some vocal health challenges. Let's use today's performance to discuss those sorts of things, amongst others, and also just appreciate a great singer who, gives us a wonderfully connected performance, because this tune has a really important, very intense message. Let's listen to Christina Aguilera singing Hurt.
Seems like it was yesterday when I saw your face. You told me how proud you were, but I walked away.
That's a real Christina Aguilera signature tone, isn't it? And the way that's happening is the tongue just grips back a little, causes a bit of bearing down on the hyoid bone. There's a floating bone that sits immediately above the thyroid cartilage at the sort of signals the top of the larynx. And when the tongue bears down on that, it creates a load on the larynx, and the larynx has to increase some subglottal pressure, and we get a narrowing and a tightening of the pharyngeal space, and it gives us that heavier tone. It's her signature sound. We really know it's Christina Aguilera when we hear that. Have a listen to her move into that, just slightly, but we get to hear that from the get-go.
You told me how proud you were.
There it is.
I walked away. If only I knew what I know today.
Notice how she goes into a flute register, that really light sound. Can you hear that little movement of air she uses to activate that light tone? Have a listen to it. I'm not convinced that it's absolutely necessary, but she uses it to good effect.
What I know today. I would hold you in my arms.
And so immediately we get that braced sound. It's her signature. We in one sense, we want to hear that because we want to hear Christina Aguilera, the sound that we've come to know. But it is loading the voice in a way that is a higher cost to her personally.
I will take the pain away. Thank you for all you've done.
How cool is that staging? can I tell you, I've actually had the privilege of being on a riser that comes up. It was actually here in Brisbane. I was a part of a vocal ensemble in a Michael Bolton performance back in the 90s, and we were on a riser that came up out of the stage. 17,000 people went manic because this was kind of at the end of the show. And it's just so cool. What an effect to have the strings come up from behind the full orchestra.
Thank you for all you've done. Forgive all your mistakes. There's nothing I wouldn't do to hear your voice.
Hear that little aspirate? It's a soft offset. You hear that blow of air. That, I think, also shows us the load that the voice is under. That there's so much pressure that the moment the vocal folds stop oscillating, there's an escape of air because the voice is under load.
Thank you for all you've done. Forgive all your mistakes. There's nothing I wouldn't do to hear your voice again. Sometimes I wanna call you, but I know you won't be there. Oh, I'm so
A little bit of constriction there. We're just hearing the voice starting to load up a bit.
won't be there. Oh, I'm sorry for blaming you for everything.
And you can just see that sense of tightness. And this is partly driven by the fact that she's being directed, I would dare say, to be seated. It doesn't give her a lot of access to lower support. Consequently, a lot of the work is being directed to her upper torso, into her neck, which causes us to be what we refer to as laryngeally focused. All of the work has to happen in the zone of the larynx.
Oh, I'm sorry for blaming
You can see her having a tilt.
for everything I just couldn't do, and I've hurt myself by hurting you.
We also get to see quite a bit of jaw tension there, and this is turning out to be what could be deemed a rather negative review and analysis. That's not my intent, but equally we do get to see some of the challenges that this voice has faced over time, and that level of jaw tension is in keeping with the amount of gripping in the tongue that we're getting from the tone, and the amount of work that's being centered through this area.
Couldn't do, and I've hurt myself by hurting you. Some days I feel broke inside, but I won't admit. Sometimes I just wanna hide, 'cause it's you I miss. And it's so hard to say goodbye when it comes to this.
Her ability to move between that lighter tone into belt, back to lighter tone, it's very good. And it's a real part of what makes her deservedly a worldwide known name, and a singer that we can readily aesthetically admire. The aesthetic of this voice, I've made some comments around her function of the voice, but the aesthetic, no question, it's a great sound. You don't get to be a Christina Aguilera without having great aesthetic.
Would you tell me I was wrong? Would you help me understand? Are you looking down upon me? Are you proud of who I am? There's nothing I wouldn't do to have just one more chance to look into your eyes and see you're looking back. Oh,
I just saw. I think that's a female playing the piano, and I, as a person who wears hats, I love her hat. How cool is that? Sorry, I only just saw that. I'd watched this video a few times before doing the review. I didn't notice the piano player. I didn't notice the hat. I have now.
Sorry for blaming you for everything I just couldn't do, and I've hurt myself. Oh, if I had just one more day, I would tell you how much that I miss you since you've been away.
That really quick run, I mean, it's another Christina signature, isn't it? Those really quick riffs and runs and the way she moves the voice. And she's doing it, and this, I want to recognize it, she's doing this while the voice is under significant load. Typically when we're teaching riff and run, we're wanting singers to have a free and agile instrument. And yet she's able to somehow manage those movements with the voice being loaded up, which is, you know, again, aesthetically very impressive.
Oh, it's dangerous. It's so out of line to try and survive.
The air, and by virtue of the position she's got herself into, her air doesn't quite go the distance. And it's interesting because in a moment she's going to touch her tummy. I wonder whether she's had a moment of reminding herself about her breath. Maybe, maybe not. Let me take it back. Have a listen to how the air doesn't quite go the distance and maintain the even flow and give her that connected tone throughout. It's as she falls down.
To try and survive.
Doesn't quite get there. Yeah, you can hear that there, can't you? The voice just slips a bit. Now, it might be because of air. It might be because of the load that it's just carried as she's walked down the runway, and those big notes, because when the voice has to transition from big belt to light tone, that's quite challenging, and you've got to get the breath flow and the breath pressure bang on, or it just won't quite get there. And I don't think we quite get there. But I think, you know, the positive, this is, I think it shows us a live performance, which I'm always up for. That position that she's sitting in, that is so hard to sing in. See how she's leant over? And so not only is she sitting down, as in she's now again got all the orientation up high, this gives you even less access to your midriff for breath support, which includes that sense of abdominal release. She's got no access to that. All of her air is sitting high. She's leaning over, which is causing the sternocleidomastoid to engage, and very difficult position to find yourself in, you know, as a vocal performer, then having to maintain a clean, even tone, really, really challenging. I wonder whether she instinctively gets herself upright for that last bit, simply because she knows that if I stay in this position, we may not get there. And so she very cleverly brings herself back up. Let's watch that last section just again, just so we can see the challenge that she faces.
Everything I just couldn't do, and I've had myself.
It's a beautiful performance. Aesthetically, you'd go a long way to find a better performance that displays the aesthetic of Belt used really well to communicate the message. No question about that. But it's always a good reminder for us to realize that certain activities of the voice have certain costs associated with them. And that's not to say that, belt is going to cost the voice, in a really detrimental way every time you belt. That's not what I'm saying, and because that's not the case. But equally, if we use belt in a way that loads the voice in an unsustainable manner, that can lead to some challenges. And it's something for us to remember as we develop our own voices, because I know many of you who watch these analysis videos are doing just that, because this is a channel where everybody sings, not just the Christinas, not just me, but you and everyone else watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's vocal analysis. We do these every week, and I do try to look at, the best voices in the world, including the Christina Aguileras. I hope you've enjoyed that. Leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.